If you love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz. I'm here today with...
Zero.
How you doing this week?
A little better. My project is on the final stretch, so we got the okay to pretty much just go full throttle on, just get stuff done as much as possible, since unfortunately a bunch of people are going on vacation right before the project closes. So it's just like, yeah, get everything done before everyone takes vacation.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. All right, Zero, so we're here to review the 2023 sports biopic Gran Turismo, starring Archie Madagway, Orlando Bloom, and David Harbour, directed by Neill Blomkamp. I guess, Zero, the only question I have is, what is your familiarity with the game series Gran Turismo?
Grew up on Gran Turismo 1, actually, on the original PlayStation. Fell in love with it because it made motorsports in a video game very accessible, because before, if you were into cars and wanted some sort of like simulation related game, you needed, at least back in the day, quite a powerful gaming PC to do all the simulated calculations and everything. And then here we are with Polyphony Digital going, hey, actually, you don't need a gaming computer. All you just need is a PlayStation. I've had my ups and downs with Gran Turismo as a series. 7, which is on PS5 currently, while it's not perfect, it has gotten better over the years. The biggest improvement was last year when they added PSVR 2 support. If you're a big car nut, kind of like me, playing the game in VR is just something else. All the dials inside the car will move with respect to the telemetrics that the car is giving off. If a car has a turbo boost gauge, you'll see that the turbo boost gauge move up while it's building boost pressure, and then it'll flush down to like a negative number when it's flushing the boost power into the engine. It's been surreal when I play it in VR because it's just so lifelike, especially for cars that I've actually had hands-on experience with. It's just absolutely uncanny, and this was with me just playing with the controller. If I had gotten out my Xbox Series X Logitech wheel and pedal and manual gear lever assembly setup and gotten a PS5 adapter, I think the realism would have just jumped up by a factor of 10 with the VR headset. It's just a lot of fun.
So I've tried, I think, every one of them except 6, and 1 and 2 I kind of fell off of because I really wasn't getting the whole like, this is real, and I can't just brake right away for the corners, so I would like smash into the walls and everything and be like, what the hell's going on? It wasn't until like 3 where I actually got into that type of game, and I actually got into Gran Turismo 3. But I gotta be honest, like 5 and 6 did nothing for me. I didn't even touch 6. 5 did nothing for me, and I haven't even tried 7, but I think it's been since Forza Motorsport came out where I fell off of Gran Turismo pretty hard, because I think I prefer Forza more than anything. But we're not here to talk about the Forza movie, so let's get into it. Let's get into the review of Gran Turismo, directed by Neill Blomkamp. Before that, let's get into the plot. Jann Mardenborough, played by Archie Madagway, has only one passion in life: to be a professional race car driver. His second love is the game Gran Turismo, which he plays often and is considered one of the best players in the UK. However, his dreams have a possibility of coming true when Danny Moore, played by Orlando Bloom, when he convinces the head of Nissan to sponsor a contest to have the best player of Gran Turismo become a pro racer. Now, Zero, we talked about this, I believe, last week. This is based on a true story, which I knew bits and pieces about, but I was not aware that this guy is still racing to this day, so that's definitely fascinating. But go ahead with your thoughts of the film.
It's a fairly entertaining film, even though there are a bit of anachronisms for the sake of condensing everything into sort of a short span to hold everyone's attention, especially because this is actually based on the PlayStation reality TV show / contest GT Academy, which had the involvement of Polyphony Digital, Sony, and Nissan, just all sort of merging together to do this thing. As said, it's fairly entertaining. There is one particular scene that I felt was a little bit on the tasteless side, even though, again, I get it. It's kind of put in a way that sort of condenses things, and they're trying to use this particular scene to sort of amp up the drama and everything. But overall, I mean, I think it's a fun movie. You might have to turn off your brain for a little bit, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is fairly entertaining for what it is. I think it has an interesting setup, but it's a fairly standard sports movie. Like, if you have seen a sports movie where there's an underdog that no one believes in, but one person gives him a chance and he proves everybody wrong, it's the exact same formula. I found that a little weird because this is based on a true story that actually sounds pretty interesting. I really doubt that the story of the actual person is as cookie cutter as the movie is.
From what I've read and seen on Jann Mardenborough's career, it's definitely nothing as cookie cutter as the movie portrays it to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. It's kind of the general sports biopic sort of formula. So that's why I was just like, all right, I better turn my brain off, or else I'm just going to be pausing and nitpicking this movie to death.
See, you're not like me where it just happens organically, huh? I will say that they overuse the game iconography so much in this movie. I thought this would have been a good idea to use with certain scenes to emphasize something like important or to make it like, oh, a nice little callback. But they overuse like the UI of Gran Turismo to death. I think what they were trying to do with the use of like game UI and stuff like that was say, oh, it's because he's a gamer, that's why he's so damn good. And it's like, no, you don't need to do that for people to recognize that. That's so stupid.
It seemed a little hammy and corny, just having a bunch of like PlayStation UI sounds from Gran Turismo being kind of spliced in and stuff like that. I mean, I get it. They're trying to kind of emphasize the whole fact that Mardenborough was really, really, really into Gran Turismo. And with Gran Turismo, just that was sort of his passion and everything. And this passion is now crossing over into the world of professional motorsports. I get why, but at the same time, I was exactly like, oh God, just here we go. We've got the Gran Turismo fonts going on, showing what place Mardenborough is in the race. We've got the sounds for like when he breaks track records. Oh God, this is so hammy.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you something. Would that be an issue if you're not familiar with the game?
I don't think so. I think it would be more sort of an emphasizing point that maybe just Mardenborough's sort of like Zen moment, just kind of focusing on the race in a way that seems like he's kind of immersing himself in a video game. At least that's my thought process behind that.
Yeah, I think, honestly, if you are not familiar with the game at all, I don't think you would notice or even care. I think you'd be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. They're showing the place or this and that. That said, we're complaining more about this movie than anything else, it feels like. But I think the one thing that actually makes me like this movie in the end and recommending it is actually the one actor that I thought I did not like at all, which is David Harbour. I think he's the best part of this movie. I think he's easily the most enjoyable. He's the funniest. He has the best scenes. I think he's the most believable of any of the characters. So I think if it wasn't for his performance not being as good as it is, I think I would edge towards not recommending it. But I like him in this movie, so I am recommending it basically on that.
From some of the anecdotes that have come out of Mardenborough's story, David Harbour's portrayal of Jack Salter really, really feels the most respectful to the story in my opinion as well too. Mm-hmm. So loved his performance and everything, and it really sort of kind of grounded things, especially because a lot of sports movies, they kind of go with the whole like idyllic pie in the sky sort of, oh, you know, if you work hard your dreams will come true, where Salter was one hell of a tough guy, because the stories of Salter pretty much are very similar to how he's depicted in the movie. He was just like, you're fucking serious? You really want to frickin' throw kids who have never piloted a fast car and who are more than likely out of fucking shape, and you want them to become race drivers? That sounds fucking insane. And then, of course, the whole inaugural event for GT Academy, just him pretty much just putting down all the competitors, going, if you're afraid of getting hurt, if you're afraid of, you know, just pushing yourself to the limit, you need to walk away. It kind of matches some of the anecdotal stories that have been told about GT Academy as well, too. So I was just like, you know, really, really love his performance as Salter. It was so good.
Yeah, there is a trope with coaches where they're abusive, but then they warm up to the underdog. All right, Zero, so since you're on, I know you've got some research. So Zero, let's talk about what you have researched from the movie.
As mentioned in the start of this review, this was based off of the PlayStation reality TV show GT Academy, which was done in partnership with Nissan and Polyphony Digital. This happened during the PS3 era. This was when PlayStation was way too high off of itself and decided, hey, you know what we want to do? We want to get into entertainment. GT Academy episodes were actually part of the PlayStation TV store.
Yeah.
And the episodes were completely free, so that should give you an idea of when this took place. It's kind of a funny anachronism to sort of see this story being rooted around the PS5 and Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah.
Because this was like, yeah, if you were around during the advent of GT Academy, you're just like, PlayStation 5, that's the wrong console, guys.
Yeah, they definitely modernized the story big time in this.
That's kind of a fun anachronism. It's not like absolutely world-breaking, but it is kind of one of those sort of funny anachronisms, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. The other one is regarding Jann Mardenborough. He actually played the stunt driver for some of the racing scenes.
Yes.
Which is actually kind of cool. I thought that was just such a fun little tidbit to kind of be dropped on the end and everything. And especially when they kind of go over some of the factoids for Mardenborough as well, too. Like one of the other ones that they go over in the end credit sequence is the fact that while in the movie, his movie depiction is that he listens to a lot of Kenny G to sort of relax himself before a race and everything. Mm-hmm. They kind of had the fun tidbit of, hey, Mardenborough would listen to Kenny G and Enya before races. I was like, okay, that's a cool tie-in to his actual real-life sort of mental preparation for the races and everything. And let's get to the scene that I actually do have a bit of a problem with.
Let's do it.
For me, the thing that really sort of tilted me was crash scene at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, where he hits the Flügelplanz turn and goes airborne and ends up killing a spectator and everything. I know that they did it to kind of create drama and sort of like say, oh my god, this affected Mardenborough's like racing performance, and it's so tragic, oh my goodness. But in actuality, it happened about 2 years before his Le Mans debut. It really wouldn't have affected his performance at Le Mans. So that was something that I kind of took an issue with, because I was just like, I remember when he crashed out. That was way, way, way before the Le Mans thing. This whole depiction of him just becoming a sad sap during the Le Mans debut. I was just like, oh, God, I know. They're trying to create drama. They're trying to kind of stir feelings up so you kind of, just have some drama to go, oh man, no, get over it, you're okay, and everything. It just felt a little tasteless and maybe a bit of sort of like a hack job, but yeah, I guess that's kind of how I felt about that particular scene.
Well, that's common in a lot of movies that do that. They want to speed up the drama, or they truncate certain things to make it more palatable to the story. That's pretty bad, actually. Did he actually go airborne the way that they showed in the movie, though?
Yeah, he actually did.
Oh, wow.
I remember the event, too, because back when I was following motorsports a lot more closely, I remember that coming up in my sports feed. It was just like, a rookie simulation driver miscalculates Nürburgring Flügelplanz, flies over the fence, and killed a spectator. Oof. And I was just like, oh, no. Please don't tell me this is the GT Academy guy. And then I remember popping the article open in my RSS feed, and I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of interesting, too, because when they get into that whole piece at the end of, hey, Team Kappa wants to pretty much get a ban on simulation drivers from ever participating in actual motorsports, that actually happened. It was a huge kerfuffle about it. Just, you had a whole bunch of major pro teams going, nope, these little sim nuts want to fucking race real cars. Tell them to get into an actual real car, climb up from the bottom up like all of us did. Fuck their experience in simulators because it's bullshit. I was just like, holy shit, this could get fucking wild. And it was just real insane too. And then, of course, just when Team Nissan with these 3 Gran Turismo Academy drivers ended up actually placing on the podium, kind of really changed the world, because it kind of got people thinking maybe there is some actual science behind getting trained in a simulator. And as a result, nowadays, when race drivers are off season, they will actually play in simulators. What gets really fun is the most realistic simulator is actually on PC called R Factor 2. R Factor 2 will actually hold like major race days where pretty much anyone can compete. And there have been times where professional race drivers will kind of smurf their way in and just kind of drive and place real high. And of course, some of the most hardened sim racers will go, wait a second, that guy's driving technique is real familiar. And then, of course, the driver will kind of go, all right, you fucking caught me. Yeah, it's me. I'm pro race driver from team such and such. And usually it ends up creating a huge clamor because you've got these professional sim racers or just hardcore enthusiasts. They will trip because for them it's almost like meeting one of their idols, going, oh my god, I never thought I would run into you in fucking R Factor 2. So it's always a hoot when you occasionally see the stories of, hey, you know, R Factor 2 held this tournament this weekend and pro race driver so-and-so from Team Cadillac showed up and decided to throw down and put a lap time or something like that. It's always so interesting seeing stuff like that.
That's neat. Now that we got into your research, let's get into my footnotes for Gran Turismo. I got one, and it's really a comment. I was very happy that they at least recognized Polyphony Digital and the director. I forget his name every time.
Kazunori Yamauchi?
Yes, thank you. I am glad they recognized them and they showed him and the studio in that movie. I was afraid that they were going to be like, oh, it's this game, it's made by Sony. But they actually showed the creator and they showed the how they did it and they showed pieces of how they did it. So I'm glad they got recognized is the only thing I can say about that.
Yeah, and kind of to your mention of how things are done, it's also kind of interesting for the end credit sequence because they even show how they do some of the sound capture for the cars that are featured in the game, which I thought was just an absolute treat to see.
All right, Zero, so do you recommend Gran Turismo?
Yes, if you turn your brain off.
Okay. I'm actually right there with you.
Mostly because you've got some anachronisms that are there for the sake of just condensing everything and sort of modernizing the story, but also you've got a lot of the hammy sort of like use of PlayStation sounds and Gran Turismo sounds just kind of peppered in here and there. And then, of course, it follows the usual sports movie biopic sort of formula. It's definitely one that if you have interest in motorsports, you want to watch something that's entertaining and you're able to turn off your brain, then yeah, I mean, it's a fairly fun movie. But if you're the type who is going to nitpick every single detail, avoid this one.
And yet, I am the exact same person, and I'm also going to recommend this movie, but I am actually right there with you. If you're expecting something that is better than most sports movies that deal with this formula, no, don't watch it. I think the actors did a fine job in this movie. I think David Harbour is probably the best thing about this movie, to be absolutely honest. I think, honestly, if you are familiar with the series of games, I think you'll find more things annoying about this movie than you'll find things that you'll like. That being said, like, if you are not familiar with it, then I think you'll be just fine. But I think the camera angles that they would show is like, oh, it's an odd reference to Gran Turismo in third-person mode. And then they do it again and again and again and again. I'm like, okay, come on, really? And other things that they would show that would remind you of the game or that this is from a gamer's mindset, I thought was kind of corny as well. But honestly, it's entertaining, if not a bit too long, but I did end up enjoying it for what it was. So, Zero, do you recommend Gran Turismo?
Yeah.
I also recommend Gran Turismo. Now, if you want my full review on this movie, you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. You'll have my full written review right on the site, along with a link to the video that has this review that you've just listened to. All right, Zero. So on Saturday, I'll be reviewing Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, directed by Leonard Nimoy. In 2 weeks, on Tuesday, that's right, I am giving Zero the week off. Something about Labor Day or some shit, I don't know, but like the states have this thing where it's called Labor Day, like, whatever. Like, if it were up to me, I'd have him sitting at his computer doing a podcast with me that week, but there's laws and shit, so what can I do? On Tuesday, September 10th, I'll be reviewing Moonstruck, directed by Norman Jewison. On Thursday the 12th, Zero, what are we reviewing?
We are going to be watching the 1987 American psychological thriller Fatal Attraction.
That's right. Fatal Attraction, directed by Adrian Lyne. This was a big hit back then when it was released, and it's something that does get talked about when it comes to psychological thrillers, and I would also say, like, sexually charged movies as well. I am looking forward to checking this out. I haven't seen this movie at all. Have you?
No, I have not.
All right, so we're going to both watch something fresh for the first time. So, again, on Saturday, I'll be reviewing Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock, directed by Leonard Nimoy. On the 10th, on Tuesday, Moonstruck, directed by Norman Jewison. And on Thursday, me and Zero are reviewing Fatal Attraction, directed by Adrian Lyne. I am The Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.